God is moving. It's Young People Nation.
Welcome to Young People Nation. Listen to us weekly as we commit to bring transparency, healing, and truth to the everyday situations in life that might bring you down. Join us for your weekly dose of inspiration. Thank you for listening to Young People Nation. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And now, here's your host, Eugene and Donna Perry.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Giving the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross.
Good afternoon. I'm Eugene Perry.
And I'm Donna Perry.
Today's guest is Dr. Rosella Parker Austin, licensed professional counselor, certified professional counselor supervisor, and certified forensic mental health evaluator.
Welcome, Dr. Austin. Thank you so much for coming.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You were on our previous session about Let's Talk Depression. So we're going to do a continuation of this. Let's look at the age of depression.
Okay.
Wow. I really, some of the age groups that are more prone to depression. Are there some age groups more prone to depression?
Well, when you look at depression, it's the age group between, it could be as young as 8 years old or 5 years old to 15 for the adolescents. For the adults, you want to look at young adults, ages 18 to 25. And believe it or not, ages 50 to 54 among veterans. They have as a matter of fact, they have the highest suicide rate. So when you look at the elderly, you want to look at the ages of 70 and above.
Wow. I can really see that among the military, because a lot of times they used to keeping stuff in. It's sort of like the old effect, a name, rank, and serial number, and you don't give nothing else out, and we fall under that category. And even when you're hurting, you just keep going. And it's is it more common among females or males?
Believe it or not, women are twice as likely to be diagnosed with depression, because women tend to seek help a lot sooner than men. Unfortunately, as a wife, I can tell you, you have to wait. Most men wait till something is about to fall apart before they want to go get help.
Oh yeah. I noticed that because I know some churches that I was in, and they will make an announcement is anyone having a problem in a certain area, and the man would sit right there. He'll sit right there, and they would say, "Anybody come up for prayer for anything that is you have a concern with?" So the man of God or woman of God can pray for you, and the man would sit right there, and that woman would get up, just as proud, and march through the front, and she'll get that husband that look, and then he'll get up and come, and that's why I say women, when they need help, they'll come. They will come.
It depends on the ethnicity of the woman, though.
Okay.
Wow.
Expound on that.
Because your African-American females won't seek help as fast as your Caucasian female.
Okay.
Wow. I can just imagine how that go to the Hispanic neighborhood also, because they have a certain stereotype that they like to project. What is it, machismo? Am I saying that right? Okay.
No, that word wrong.
All right. Oh wow.
So with that same topic, males tend not to deal with it because of suck it up, get over it, right? I'm a man. I don't need no counseling.
Men, we treat young boy when a little boy falls. The tendency is to tell him not to cry, and or you're strong. You know, you could do this. Where if a little girl falls, we tell her it's okay to cry. And so we've conditioned our males from a very early age to not address their emotions. We've trained them from an early age to say, whatever you're dealing with, keep it inside and never let it show.
Wow, I can identify with that one.
I bet you can, can't you?
I am guilty as I am so guilty of that. I remember when I stepped on a nail, it was like, oh, it's a nail, you know, I can't let the emotion out and just take it and pour it out, cause a crowd around. And you just retain it and put a little dirt on it, keep going. That mentality it's horrible. It's horrible in the service also, even more. That John Wayne effect, you know.
Unfortunately, with our young men, because we've depending on their background, we've taught them not to cry at an early age. But then when we do have the young man that's willing to show his emotions, we want to label him as potentially being not as masculine.
Yes.
And then that makes him retreat within himself. And so we have to be mindful, just because our sons, our husbands, or our siblings, or whatever the male figure is, if he's willing to show his emotions, that's not the time to question their masculinity.
Correct.
Let them be a male. Let them express their emotions.
I have, as his wife, and learning him and learning from the community of wise women in my community, that if he needs to cry, if I see him cry, my husband cry, I say, go ahead and cry, honey. It's okay. You get that out, because it's like a release. It's like you got all this built up in you. You got to let it out. It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out one way or the other, and sometimes it come out in a person's health.
Exactly. And hurt is universal. It doesn't care what your skin color is. And so it behooves us to be, especially in the lives of our males, to be advocates for them and encourage them to show their emotions. Because we have no issues when a man wants to explode and be angry. We don't tell him until it's too late. You need to get your anger under control. But if we would train them at an early age that it's okay to show your emotions and it's okay to manage your emotions. The younger we can start our young men with that process, the less likely they are to deal with problems later on.
I have seen that, because I would go to funerals and I couldn't cry. I would just sit there all numb, and deep inside I could feel the inside of me trying to bust out, but still I couldn't force myself to cry. No tears, no nothing, and it literally affected my breathing. It affected the way I walked. I was walking, and the pressure that just. It's a build up without no escape, like a what do you call it? One of those pressure killers, ready to blow up.
Wow. Let me ask you this, Dr. Austin: is anxiety and depression similar, and what is the difference?
They can. It does seem similar when you look at the symptoms of anxiety. Restlessness. A person who's depressed may be restless. A person with anxiety may be anxious, and a person with irritable depression may be anxious. So they look similar, but they are different. Anxiety is a heightened state, where depression is a lower state.
Heightened state.
A heightened state. Because sometimes people who are having an anxiety attack, it can look like a heart attack, but it's just that they're at a heightened state where their body is on overdrive. And so they think they're having a heart attack when in actuality it's just a panic attack.
Does it?
With that anxiety and that state, I have seen that at a job I used to have, and where we had to literally take people to the hospital for it, and because we were not trained in that to recognize the difference between a heart attack and an anxiety attack, because they're so similar that people will go to a point of panic. And in that case, can a person die from that?
From a panic attack?
Yes.
If left unchecked, yes.
Wow.
And so, because what happens is when a person is experiencing a panic attack, their breath can become short, and there's, so it goes from one stage to the next stage unless you help them to bring it back in. And that's where a good counselor will put things in a person's toolbox to train them how to manage that anxiety so that it doesn't go to the extreme.
Wow.
You mentioned an important thing there. You said toolbox. What exactly is that?
A toolbox is some tools that we give you. It's just like a mechanic has tools for their cars or whatever vehicle they're working on. For a depression toolbox, we would give, like for me, I give my clients something that they can use to help them out of that depressive state that they're in. And so we call it a toolbox.
Wow. Could that be a picture?
It could be a picture. A toolbox is unique to each person. My toolbox might not look like your toolbox. What we do as in counseling is find out what works best for you. If you're a family-oriented person and you love pictures, I'm going to tell you to put pictures in your toolbox. So when you are feeling depressed, put those pictures, pull out those pictures. Give yourself a reason to want to stick around and be a part of these people's lives that are precious and dear to you. If you're a person that doesn't like a lot of people, you're introvert, you like to stay to yourself, I'm going to find out, especially if but you're introvert, but you like to have projects. I'm going to tell you to put projects in your toolbox so that you have something to help you pull out of that dark space and have something to focus on in your toolbox.
Wow. I know what I'm putting in my toolbox. Peyton.
Oh, Lord.
I might have that grandbaby picture all in there. Oh, yeah.
That's the love of a grandfather right there. Like
is.
deep love.
But can I go back to some of the symptoms of what anxiety looks like?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am,
yes.
please.
Restlessness, a sense of dread, always feeling on the edge, excessive sweating, shortness of breath, stomach ache. A person might feel a headache, or they might feel sick and nauseous, like they're about to vomit. They might feel like they're on pins and needles, or either they might be irritable, or they may begin to feel dizzy. So those are some of the symptoms of anxiety.
Wow. So a person actually could feel that when they're getting ready to take a big test, or even especially for a wedding. Wow. Feel all that.
Is that anxiety a sense of being in control? Does that have anything to do with trying to control your atmosphere, or something that it causes you to be fearful of the unknown?
Well, anxiety is not as cut and dry as about being in control, because when a person is having an anxiety attack, that's a loss of control.
Okay, great.
Wow.
Okay.
So it's not as cut and dry.
Okay. Okay. Are there any tests or quiz online to check if depression is your issue?
There are a lot of tests and quizzes that a person can take online. I would recommend, I don't really recommend quizzes online, because sometimes they'll give you, depending on where you are that day, you may answer this way, or if you are in a different space tomorrow, you may answer differently. But if you're going to take the quiz or a test online, make sure it's one that's monitored by a health organization, a mental health organization, and take one of those, but always follow up with a clinician.
Okay.
Follow up with a counselor. And sometimes, depression can just be a biological factor. So go to the doctor, get checked. Because everything is not necessarily a mental health disorder. It could just be a biological disorder. It could be something going on in your body. So it's important to make sure you're looking at it holistically.
Okay.
Wow. I can actually see just by watching the TV programs, the anxiety can play a major factor in it, in many cases and all. And sort of like saying that you go to your family picnic and all, and certain people bring out certain hostilities.
Believe it or not, Thanksgiving is a time where Thanksgiving and the holidays, a lot of people deal with depression because of what you're saying. Because the idea of being with family is not necessarily exciting for everyone.
Wow. Yeah, we have some serious families out there because some families that I've seen dealing with youth are very discrepant. They get together and they act like they're trying to kill each other when they meet because of what someone did or someone took something or somebody special or money. That's a big one, all by itself. You owe me this money and you haven't paid me in the last 20 years, and the other person would be like, oh, I don't owe you that, you gave it to me. And if you don't have that major in the black family to break it up, they'll actually come to fist fights. Matter of fact, it was on the news. It was on the news that this individual had shot his own brother over some money that was owed, over $20 that was owed 30 years ago. It came to that part.
Unfortunately, a lot of family issues are not necessarily family issues span every ethnicity. And sometimes we have families that are arguing and they don't even know why they're arguing because it was something that happened so long ago. It's just a matter of when we know better, we do better.
Yes.
That goes right back to that famous family, the Hatfields and the McCoys. It was supposed they had started a big argument and a fight over a pig that was supposed to be stolen and it's legendary in society. I believe that lasts about 100 years, almost.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
I remember through my lifetime, I dealt with depression around 13. Now that I can think back to it, and really since I retired from the military in my late 40s, about 40 years later, I can see it, all that shaping up from the past, and all that coming to a head of some of the problems that I had, and I just thank God it didn't seep into my marriage, and those out there that just got a good church, I highly suggest that they stay within the confines for that group setting, because that's a good place to really grow up and to express yourself to the pastor and all. They kind of focus on it. Church mothers kind of comfort you, and you can actually find some relief there. Don't you think so, dear?
I this is a safe place. I feel that you, as we are discussing, you knew how to, you just put it on the shelf. You did not deal with what was making you depressed at 13. Now, since you've been older, he's become more open and talking. I'm very grateful for that, because we do know when a man starts talking, you just let him talk. You don't interrupt and say nothing. Like you said, Dr. Austin, that is not the time to be saying, what's wrong with you? You should have let that go. Let him talk. And so now thank God for the community. I always encourage people, keep you some wise people in your corner, because even though it didn't directly affect us to the point of separation and divorce, I can look back and see where the weight of that depression when he was younger, up until he realized it and decided to get help, which I was grateful for that. That helped me to know how to talk with him. And sometimes if he didn't want to talk about things, just don't talk about it. And so, and also I went and got counseling because I need to understand. It's like when he got out the military, I didn't know what to do. First thing out of my mouth is, "What you want to do?" You know, that was not the right thing to say. However, I do see where it could have been really bad for our marriage, really, really bad.
It's important to realize, like what you said, when your husband went into counseling, you went into counseling also. Mm-hmm. It's important when you have a family member that's going into counseling that it becomes, it's important to have that support system around the person that's in counseling. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes it may take a person a lot to just even admit that they need counseling. A support system is very important. And even if a person doesn't have a support system, and they do have a good counselor, the counselor can help them develop and find a good support system. Mm-hmm. Because there are people who are just out, don't have any family at all, and they may not have that wife or husband or sister or brother or sibling that they can lean on, or a cousin. A good counselor will help them network and find a group that they can be able to relate to.
Okay.
So a person shouldn't feel bad, like, well, I don't have that support system. It's okay. Go get help, and your counselor can help you.
You know, I can actually see that because at the end of my military career, it was like traveling down the highway for all those years, 24 plus years, and then all of a sudden you stop. The road is no more road, no more path in front of you. What I do now? You still get up early in the morning, like you're going to work. You fall outside like you're getting ready to go to PT, and you look, and it's all forest, no more road, and it's such a big screeching halt that your life just plain stops. You have no more meaning, you have no more purpose, you have no more direction. Because one thing about the military, it gives you a form of a system.
Order.
Yes, order. And without that order, emotions go unchecked. Responsibility is out the door. And your whole purpose in life stops. It's like that car trying to start, but it just can't get that spark to get the ignition going. So everything stops to the point where you get depressed. You get this empty gut feeling, what I'm going to do next. And if you don't have a supporting spouse, because you will look over there in all emptiness. It's like a vast wasteland, a desert. Nowhere to go, nowhere to stop, no one to talk to. Life just plain stops, and some of us, unfortunately, go into a state of mind where they just sit there all day long with no purpose in life and can't move forward, back, or to the side. And once you reach that point, counseling is definitely needed.
And what you're saying is so important. That's why 22 veterans die every day.
Wow.
Because they get to that end space, and there's nothing on the other side of it.
Wow.
That's why support groups are so important for veterans, to have that avenue to talk to, whether they're coming back from a conflict or whether they're finally just ending their time in service. When you think 22 veterans dying every day, it's because they come to that drop off and they don't have that system to keep them going, because in the military they teach you what to do, they tell you what you're going to wear, they tell you what your meals are going to look like, and when a veteran gets out, they lose that structure. So it's a matter of helping a veteran find another path and find another structure. And that's why veterans between the ages of 50 to 59 have the highest suicide rate. Because when you start looking at the time of getting out of the military and trying to find that gap and finding something to do, that's when a lot just check out. So it's very important to remember our veteran community.
Yes,
Definitely.
But that can be the same thing for a high schooler. You go to school all the way from kindergarten all the way up, and then after you graduate from high school, what I do next if I don't qualify for college, or I don't have the means to go to college? What do I do now? Mom always got up and ironed my clothes and gave me breakfast, and I was off to school. Now there's no school. There is no purpose. I have to do something with my life. What do I do now? I have no ambition to be a doctor or a lawyer or a carpenter or a plumber. And that empty gut feeling, how do I fulfill that void?
That's where it's so important to have that village, because mama and daddy can't catch everything. That's why it's so important to have aunties, uncles, cousins, friends, family that check in. Because I have nephews, and they'll tell you, Aunt Rose is checking in all the time.
Yes. That's how my sister is with. She doesn't have any kids, but she checks in with those girls, and she's able to. And on our side, just girls, and then you got the grandsons and all that. However, she checks in with the girls to, how you doing? Or send a card or get engaged. So that is so accurate that the parents don't have it all. So the community, whoever God decides to use, they're there to help us through life process.
Exactly. And if you don't have aunties and uncles, there might be godparents. There might be that one person that reach out to some, the Bible, it's not Bible, but one of the things we learn is if you want a friend, you first got to show yourself friendly.
Right. I think one of the mistakes that people make, if they don't have that kind of close-knit family like that, they turn to social media.
Yes.
And once you do that, you get anything. What's that word? That word they use catfishing. No.
You know what?
I mean, it is. That person on the other end isn't what they supposed to be. So your whole life falls in on that person, that imaginary person, and it can come to the part where you might get hurt, but you usually find out later on whether or not that person real or not. I understand that in those situations, they may appear to be a handsome guy or a lovely young lady, and that person on the end can be a 90-year-old man.
That's a whole nother topic.
That's
a whole nother topic.
Yeah, it happens though.
But yes, we very much need to be aware of our veteran community for sure. And sometimes with depression, it seeks out whoever will accept them. Is that correct? That's accepting of them, or
a person dealing with depression, it is important to reach out for help. And if no one reaches back, that's not a reason to stop trying. Keep reaching. Somebody's going to respond.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
That hope.
Yes. Hope.
That's
I was going with our scripture there, the blessed hope in Romans 15 and 13, I want to say. Excuse me if I'm putting that backwards. But in any instance, well, that's it for us. Any closing remarks or? Oh, we also, one thing, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 800-273-8255. Again, that's 800-273-TALK. Also, we have a crisis text line, and that is text home to 741-741. Again, the crisis text line is text home to 741-741. The crisis text line provides free 24/7 mental health support via text messaging. Thank you so much, Dr. Austin, for joining us again today. And it's like I'm peeling a nice orange from Florida.
Yes.
You're just bringing that
Oh,
freshness and this wisdom. Any closing remarks from anyone?
I say life is worth living.
That's it. And don't make a permanent decision over a temporary situation.
Amen.
Just because it looks bad today or it's a dark hole doesn't mean it's going to be one tomorrow.
All right, this has been Young People Nation.
And
Signing
we're
off.
grateful
Oh yeah.
to be a part of the community.
Yes.
Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Give the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross. He the #1 prospect. He the top boss. I was broke, I was empty. He the one that paid the cost. Really thought that I was cool. There was nothing like the savior. Now it's time for the truth. The whole world been waiting. It's Young People Nation. 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 The whole world been waiting. Whatever you going through, I know what he gonna do. Don't matter the circumstance, we going back to the root. Keep going, keep going. Let that seed keep growing. You need peace and we know it. Now it's time to live holy. Young People Nation. You know what time it is. Young People Nation. Get ready, the time is here. Get ready, we vibing here. We about to let God in here. Young People Nation. It's Young People Nation. Yeah, do it for the heavens, you know where we going. Influenced by his love, you know we gotta show it. It's time to put the youth onto what God is doing. Cause I can tell you now, right now, that God is moving. It's Young People Nation.